Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse. I'm your host, 𝗥𝗶𝗹 coming in from the Wellpoint Studios here in beautiful, albeit snowy and really slushy downtown Lowell. It's a Thursday morning, February 13th, 2025, day before Valentine. Hey, guys, did you remember the missus? I did, but here's your little reminder that happy wife, happy life. Joined in studios by our guest today, special guest, real estate Ray Boutin. Of course, he's one of our sponsors here at Inside Lowell, sponsor of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, and arguably the go-to real estate agent in the greater Lowell area, if not the entire New England area for RE/MAX.
Mass and New Hampshire license, folks.
Okay, but you're
good. I can refer you.
Who sells houses in Vermont and Maine? This is where
I can refer you out.
You can.
I can get you a good agent.
Do you get a cut of that?
Sometimes.
Nice. Excellent.
Depends.
Well, you referred me to an agent in Greece. So.
Yeah. And I'm getting a cut.
You've got connections everywhere.
I'm happy to get paid. I get paid for what I do, and I make no bones about that. I might even book another cruise.
Good.
As you can see.
So, yeah.
I have the Caribbean tan right now.
And with the 7 properties that you're about to list, and we'll get into them in a little bit, you may be able to book a 2-week cruise as opposed to a weekend cruise.
I don't have time to take 2 weeks off.
Damn.
Hey, that's a good problem to have.
We got a lot to talk about with Ray. What's hot, what's not on the real estate market. He's got some brand new listings all over the greater Lowell area. We got some great topics to talk about as well. I just quickly want to thank our sponsors, and it begins and ends with Ray Boutin, real estate Ray Boutin, licensed realtor in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both of those states as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell a commercial property or a residential property, a home, Real Estate Ray Boutin is your man. Find him online, realestaterayBoutin.com. Thank you as well to our friends at Wellpoint. You see, we're coming here from the Wellpoint Studios. Wellpoint is the only health plan offering health care benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At Wellpoint, your whole health is their whole point. We thank Wellpoint. Of course, we thank Ray, but we'll tell you about our other sponsors as well here on the Daily Pulse. But I want to get right down to it with Ray. Tuesday night, Lowell City Council meeting, the manager announced the Frontrunner city agreement has been signed with the United Nations and these entities, and Lowell, Massachusetts, our place, our city, is going to be the first Frontrunner city in the entire United States of America. I've been excited about it. I know you are. Inside Lowell has been itching to cover it, and we're bothering the manager and the mayor for more information that they're so far not giving. But is it just me, or does the rest of the city kind of seem to be asleep at the wheel on this, Ray?
They're not. They don't understand it, but they've also heard how for the last 20 years, Hamilton Canal and then Hamilton Innovation Canal District is going to transform everything and how wonderful things are. So I understand people's trepidation and not, but I've seen what has happened. You know, you and I have been working together now for over 8 years on the radio and talking. When I've come in, people always are Lowell centric. You know, greater Lowell, what's happening? We don't have enough room. We have this, everything. And I would always suggest, look outside of Lowell, go to Nashua, go to Manchester, see what they do well, Concord, New Hampshire, go to Portsmouth, go to Newburyport. What can we incorporate? Downtown Amesbury. This, I also said, look out further, go to other states, go to other countries. I've been to Toronto. I've seen what can happen in a community with this type of investment. This is transformative more than UMass Lowell, more than the Hamilton Canal District, more than Link is going to be.
Have you seen that Regent Park that we keep hearing about in Toronto? Yeah. You have? Yeah. Okay. I've only seen like news stories and pictures of what's happened there. But
you're cautiously optimistic and you're hoping that something happens. This is bigger than most people have experienced because they don't travel, they don't see these things, or they don't read about outside this area. This is going to be unexpected, and it's going to be some growing pains, but it's going to be good growing pains. And this is going to transform us and help the whole community.
Yeah. And I've asked the mayor, I've asked the manager, they've sat where you are now sitting. And, when I first got tipped off that this was being behind the scenes, and they had put it on the city council agenda. So I started asking questions. I said, what are we talking about here in terms of investment? Link, half of Link, which was an $800 million UMass Lowell project. And I was told, well, think of that. And then the mayor and the manager said, no, billions.
Yeah.
And they put the S at the end of it, not $1 billion.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can get that kind of investment, financing. What I'm gathering is low interest loans are a big part of this, which in today's market, from trying to
For sure.
sell homes and whatnot is a major challenge. I mean, this will completely transform the city. I imagine parts of the city that we never even dreamt could be developed or become something big and prosperous. And when you link it, pardon the pun, with what 𝗥𝗲 is doing, I've been thinking this forever, but I think now really Lowell can become unrecognizable 10 years from now if all this stuff happens. You're right, there's some cynics. Marty Laurie.
Oh, yeah?
He'll be on again Monday with me, but he goes, let me know when it happens. Yeah. He's a skeptic. He thinks UMass Lowell can do it. He's not sure the city of Lowell can pull it off. Can the city of Lowell pull off something
Absolutely.
like this?
Absolutely. They already did. You have a great team, and you had naysayers about Tom Golden as he qualified to be city manager or Danny Rourke being mayor. And I think they've shown you that they put a team together, and they're the first ones to give credit to everybody. I've talked to both of them, and they're the first ones to say, it's not just us, it's all these people working together. And yes, they can. They have that can-do positive attitude, which you need. And this will be something that's great. Folks, start talking about giving the manager, lock him in, give him another contract, whatever you have to do.
I've been saying it. It's very likely he gets at least an extension offer. I don't know if he wants to do it, right? 5 years. He had a 5-year deal, right? Yeah. Not a 4. Yeah. So that's a long. He's still got a couple of years in it. In April, he'll have locked in his 3rd year. But he's young enough where if I was sitting on that council, I know people say, "Oh, he's the manager's propagandist." I just like him, and I've always liked him.
Criticized him too.
Tommy Taxes, yeah.
I know.
He still hasn't forgiven me for that nickname. My sister calls him that every day.
Oh, God.
But he's young enough, and he's visionary enough, and I think this Frontrunner City project is the proof in the pudding that if we can convince him to stick around, because he's not going to need to. He can ride off into the sunset when his 5 years are up,
right.
And he'll never have to work again. He'll work just for the hell of it, right?
You can't stop the man.
Right, but I mean, can we extend him for a couple of years? Get him to, get him out here to see this Frontrunner City and Link project through. I think it's a discussion the city council should be having.
It's not just his contractor, he could retire, whatever. He has a drive in him. If you've known him, he would spend 100 hours on helping PYO baseball and Centerville baseball, PYO softball baseball, to make $400 each on a breakfast. Like, that's just, he's a driven person to help, and he's Mr. Lowell. He's going. He cares about people, and I could see him caring about this. So
yeah, but he's also, I don't think people give him a credit because he's been on Beacon Hill he was on Beacon Hill, I should say, for 26 years before becoming the Lowell city manager. People get jaded, right? But I just remember having conversations with him when I first started doing radio and thinking, this guy's not like the rest of the state reps. I likened him more to Steve Panagiotakis than to Kevin Murphy, David Nangle, Eileen Donahue, etc. No disrespect to them, who were all good representatives, senators in their own right. But Pangie was kind of, to me, was a step above. And I always thought of Tom Golden as a step above. And it was kind of cemented for me when we were having the high school location debate. And he said, he was talking about some of the barriers to the College Stadium and said, he goes, well, why can't you have a 5th story? Because why can't you build up? Why do you have to build wide? Which immediately everybody lost. Oh no, it's a fire trap. Blah, blah. And what did they do downtown? They put a 5-story building. Somebody said, build up. But I've heard him saying that when he's talking about the jam plan area and the MBTA zoning districts. And he's always said, build up, not sideways. I'm going to guess this ties in to some of his vision.
Sure.
But to his credit, he had that vision going back to 2008, 2009, when I was first in my radio infancy. So that's why I think younger guy compared to most folks who've stepped into that role, he's still got some vision, and it looks like he can pull it off. So I think the Lowell City Council should at least start to have that conversation about, hey, can we just kind of see if we can get them to stick around and see this through? And they work pretty well together with the councils. Some nitpicking, some fighting here and there over building maintenance and grounds. And by the way, all of it should be a discussion, because if the residents are complaining about it, So should the council and the manager be concerned about it? But overall, this unit works really well together.
Sure, absolutely. I agree. Would love to see it. Can see the drive. Can see him putting this together and making this successful. So yeah, I'm 100% Tom. He's a personal friend. So any
hesitation about this Frontrunner City thing? I've heard people have said to me, watch out for the 15-minute city thing, and I've tried to look at that. So far, I don't see anything resembling any of that.
Understand what's going to happen. You're going to have gentrification or regentrification.
Good.
You're going to have,
Sorry.
When I started appraising in Lowell 30 plus years ago, I was over on Ash Street and I did a 3-family appraisal, and they had chickens and they had rabbits in the hallway being grown. That was food for them. We don't have that anymore. We've raised our standards. We have our health inspectors are going through. We have higher quality. Once this happens and people say, I'm going to live in Lowell, I'm going to stay here because I work at one of these properties or this housing, you are going to force people out and you're going to have less quote unquote affordable housing. This is what happened in Cambridge. It's what happened in Somerville, Medford, Malden, all those, when you live in Boston, I can't afford it. I go to Charlestown. You're going to have prices rise. So anybody that's here already, your prices are going to go up. Your values are going to go up. You're going to get wealth from this.
Oh boy,
it will make it more desirable.
There's your pushback from the advocates of affordable housing.
I've got 4 kids, and how do you? Will they be able to buy here? No, but somebody that grew up in Somerville, when I was in my 20s, I could buy Somerville a 3 unit for $150,000. Now it's 1.5 million. I can't now afford them. My kids can't. So that's why you have growth out. And that will be the cautionary part of it. Is that the negative? It's what happens with any community. Boston, there was neighborhoods you didn't want to live in.
So we're going to get inundated with Blowellians, is what you're saying, as opposed to migrants?
I don't like using the term because I'm one, or you and I.
I love it. It pisses them off.
Lawrence till I was 12, Drake it till I was 25, and then I've been here since. And I'm glad I didn't sell because I think my property value is going to go up. I think there's going to be more for us to do here, and it's going to help the community. You're going to have more money that we can put into the schools to helping the students. You're going to help more. More money is going to come in, the taxes that you can help pave streets, that you can help the less fortunate, and you can do those programs. There could be a mix, and that's the best way to go for the lower income housing. Doing Julian Steel like they did 50, 60 years ago, what you did is just kind of pushed everybody out there, and it was horrible. It was actually a terrible place to live, unsafe.
The quote-unquote projects, as they were called in the 70s, right?
And I had that in Lawrence off Beacon Street, the Beacon Street projects. But now look what you have over there off Gorham Street, the old Julian Steel. It's helping people to buy a house. They have to rent to somebody low to moderate income. And people are building generational wealth that they can expand. And that type of smart can work. Workforce housing, those type of things. And this is what the group coming in is going to focus on. It's not going to be all high end, but there will be some, and you need that. You need that synergy for the disposable income for somebody that's low to moderate income working at one of the retail establishments to go in and spend money. It's the circle of life, the circle of financial life. So those are important.
And again, that's where that vision thing that the city manager has had. He's talked about that, again, long before we knew what a link was or what a Frontrunner city was. He would talk about that Julian Steel project and how they went to affordable home ownership, not affordable housing.
Right.
Because in affordable housing, people stay there for lifetimes and generations. In affordable home ownership, that's how you start to build generational wealth.
Yes.
And you finally get people out of poverty, other than the failed policies that we've been doing together. And I will tell folks this, go back and watch some old news clips of Tom Golden. He talked about affordable home ownership when he was a state rep, long before Frontrunner cities and whatnot. And that's why, this whole vision thing, I think he's got, it's why I've been a big fan of his. I don't like the taxes thing, the Tommy taxes thing.
He had to.
But I can see why.
You had to make an investment. Too many years we had zero taxes. You can't do that and survive. Look what happened to the city. We had roads that weren't being seal coated. The little cracks, they weren't doing the cracks. And maybe we saved $3 million over not doing it for 6 years. And now we have $15 million of roads that we have to fix because we didn't spend that 3. This is what they're doing, and they're pushing for this. The other thing, we're talking about Tom, great guy. I don't think we're giving enough credit to Danny Rook. Take Danny Rook 10 years ago, who ran for council.
I would have never believed he could convince a room full of people in Toronto that they should invest in Lowell.
He got invited to Toronto to speak, and from that made connections that brought them here. So let's give Mayor and one of my closest friends, Danny Rook, some credit. I know I'm biased, but he helped with the seed. And again, this is all part of laying those cobblestones the right way that you're bringing back to the city by having somebody like Danny Rook, somebody as personable as him, somebody is true blue honest. I mean, in his heart as a politician, he's just an honest, good person. And I know some of the things he's gone through, that he just does the right thing, even if it doesn't look good. And he was able to convince them to come here, Teddy. So Danny has a big part in this, getting it in the front door, being that ambassador to the city that people could see his positiveness, if I hope that's a word, and then his positivity, and then they could link that back, and then they come in again.
He's absolutely stunned me with the way he's handled that role and the way he's become a statesman, you know, firing back at 𝗥𝗲 𝗘𝘀𝗁 when she, you know, disparages Lowell to blame her state's drug problems on Lowell. I noticed the Lawrence mayor is kissing her butt now, but I teased him. I'm like, you got left out of that.
I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I see it on the TV, you know, and he seen news, and I took a picture and sent it to him. I said, "Did you get a call?" He said, "No." So, but he's strong, and he's the most personable person you're going to meet as a mayor, most cooperative. But you call us out, he's going to call you out. So if it wasn't for Lowell, Manchester would have no drugs, right?
Yep.
Is that what they're saying?
Lowell and Lawrence are feeding the entire world. And then Lowell and Lawrence can turn around and blame New York or Hartford, Connecticut. And we can just send it all the way back to the Canadian and the Mexican border. And
it's not our fault.
The oceans.
Right? It's absolutely horrible. I mean, they did something like that before, too.
That was the old Governor not Greg Page, something Page out of Maine.
Oh, okay.
Early in the Trump administration, or right before Trump became president, he blamed Lawrence for Maine's drug problems. Like, you know, just we all have to deal with that problem, and so do the small community.
You're right. So credit to you, Mayor Rourke. Absolutely good, and the rest of the council for having an open plan, having a great Department of Planning and Development that can facilitate what's going to happen. They're going to need to grow. There's going to need to be some expansion, I think, at City Hall. But I think you will have, you know how you said that a few months ago, you and I were talking, they're not getting the applicants with Link and Frontrunner coming in. You're going to see people come in here to pad their resumes, to want to help, to be a part of this.
Did you say expanding City Hall?
Yes.
See, there's another point where you're going to start to get some pushback from folks who I don't think understand the depth of what's happening.
Tell me, with all this growth, billions of dollars between Link and this, that we can do this with the staff we have. It's not fair to the current staff.
Who's already shorthanded.
That's right. We've already cut. I mean, DPW had been cut, you know, over the last 20 years, something like 60-70% of their people, less. You can't be a front runner city. Stop always acting like we're all poor. We're not. We can be a good community. We can afford these things. This will help spend a little money to make some money.
So you're saying Lowell can have nice things?
Yes, we can have nice things.
See, such a positive force.
I'm angry about it, but we can have nice things.
Ray Boutin is here in the WellPoint studios with us. We'll get back to our discussion with Ray. Lots to talk about, and he's got a bunch of new properties coming on the market. He's listing them in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. First, let me thank Ray for being a sponsor of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in Massachusetts or New Hampshire, or if you're looking to have that home or even a commercial property appraised or sold, Real Estate Ray Boutin is your man. Find him online, realestaterayBoutin.com. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Washington Savings Bank, banking that feels like home. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space with TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire since 1925. And boy, with this stretch of alternately freezing weather or snowy, slushy weather, company like Mahoney Oil comes in handy. Thank you to them for being a part of our Inside Lowell team here. The Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life in Greater Lowell through strategic, impactful philanthropy. Francis E. Preventure, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on since 1982, and the only local business that might have distributed as many calendars as Real Estate Ray Boutin has. You've got the scenic New England stuff.
Yes,
He's got the muscle
the
cars.
wall calendars.
Preventure, but Frank Preventure, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on for over 40 years now. Of course, we mentioned Ray, and last but certainly not least, the Massachusetts Pirates, bringing all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Mill City. They just re-signed T.O. Thomas Owens, the guy who made that spectacular spinning in midair one-handed catch that became ESPN's play of the day one day in 2024. Back with Real Estate Ray Boutin. So I caught your radio appearance this morning.
Great.
That's must-listen to radio. Thursdays from 9 to 10, Ray Boutin on WCAP. Very few reasons to listen to that morning show anymore, but I make sure to tune in from 9 to 10.
Thank you.
And it helped that I had a 2-hour delay and I had driving my kids into school.
Yeah, good.
But you talked about something, energy efficiency, and it tied into me to a discussion on the city council floor last Tuesday night, a story we reported on Inside Lowell last week. That much touted geothermal project out by the UMass Lowell was collaborating with National Grid out by their Wilder Street South Campus, and they were trying to tie in some neighborhood houses there. National Grid canceled it, cited the costs too high, and people in Lowell can't afford it. So I did a little, as I listened to Councilor Wayne Jeunesse Tuesday night, imploring the manager, other people to try to find a way to reinvigorate this thing and make it happen without National Grid. He said, well, if it can happen in Boston and Framingham, and he said, we're no different than Framingham. Lowell and Framingham are very similar. We should be able to do it in Lowell. So I did some Google searching.
Yeah.
Median income of Lowell, $35,429 as of 2022. One person.
Per person? Okay.
Median income per person, $35,500, we'll call it. In Framingham, $46,932, so we'll call it $47,000. So the average person in Framingham makes $11,500 more than a Lowellian does.
30% more? 35%
Significant.
more. Yeah.
Family income, median family income. Lowell, $73,008. Framingham, $94,909. So let's round it to 73.95, right?
30% more. I'm just doing it in my head.
So Framingham is more able to afford this from a residential standpoint. Residents weren't getting this geothermal energy for free. They were going to pay for it. It was going to save them over the ridiculous electric and gas prices we have now, but still not affordable enough. And Lowell's lack of disposable income, their low median, average household income, whatever you want to gather in there, ties back to what you were saying. We need to raise everybody's pay rates up. They create good jobs so that people can afford geothermal projects. Or better yet, what did you say to the radio audience this morning? Rather than putting all this money into these failed
windmills,
green energy projects that are just failing us left and right, windmill projects getting shut down left and right, even when they're not killing whales, they're getting shut down, geothermal projects. You made some perfect sense, a rather inexpensive step that you can take to save energy, reduce your consumption of fossil fuels, thereby reducing your carbon footprint, and not bankrupting communities.
Could you see the eye roll with the carbon footprint?
But when you said that to me, it went click.
So you're going to change people to do these electric heat pumps. Why don't we take that $10,000 and put it towards having everybody have their house insulated? Right now, Mass Save, if you go and they come into your house and you don't have enough insulation or you don't have any insulation, they'll pay up to 75% of the cost of 1,500 square foot house. You're looking around $4,000. You may have to come up with $1,000. That's amazing, and that's going to help you. They're also offering $75 rebates right now for windows. More money should be put into this. This is where you're going to reduce. We don't have to eliminate. Why is it all or nothing? As a husband, always is never the right word. Never is never a good word. Always and never. Somewhere in the middle.
Yes, honey are the two good words.
Yes. So you don't have to eliminate. all the fossil fuels. But if everybody saved 15 or 20% savings, you as a homeowner are now paying 20% less because you have a high efficiency heating system, which instead of an 80%, now you're at 90 or 95%. You're saving 20% of your cost. I have more disposable income. I can send my kids on vacation. I can spend more of that money. And then add insulation into your house, not having those drafts. That's the focus instead of, I loved windmills. I thought they were the greatest thing because I've snowmobiled near them and they were beautiful.
The old Dutch windmills were phenomenal, very scenic. A lot of artists could do them. I don't see anybody painting windmills in the Atlantic Ocean.
No, and we don't have buggy whip companies anymore. Life moves on. And then when you start looking at the numbers and the cost of making them, what the carbon footprint is to make them, the cost, the materials, getting rid of those, that hazardous waste from those fiberglass blades and everything like that. Yes. And the cost doesn't equal value. So you're not getting value. You want to go to Niagara Falls, Toronto, and you see the hydroelectric, that's tried and true. Yes, I can understand that.
And geothermal does work. Warren Shaw, I believe, his farm, he had done that, and it works. But again, Warren Shaw's farm is a very viable business that's been around forever and can afford that. The average Lowellian making $35,429 sitting in an apartment on Wilder Street can't afford that.
But a community like, let's go to Princeton, Mass, or Rutland, Mass, which is out kind of near Worcester on the outskirts, and you have the room to do geothermal under your, because most lots are 2 acres. Okay, maybe you do that because you're going to be at that property for longer. But to do geothermal local and dig up the streets and all that, I'm not sure that's the best option.
It's expensive. You can do it in a small condensed neighborhood as a trial thing, but you're going to dig up entire cities and towns. By the way, you know who's got a boring company? It's called the Boring Company. That digs tunnels underground for transportation, but also but for all of you who like this whole geothermal thing, you're going to have to bore into the earth. Yeah. Guess who's got the only kind of company that does that right now? Sure. And you can run electrical and gas and everything underground, so you don't have to dig up your streets anymore and whatnot. But you're going to enrich Elon Musk with geothermal energy. I guarantee it.
So how do you? There's a place for geothermal. I can see it. I know there's some houses in southern New Hampshire that have it, and people will say, "I have to sell my house. I'm getting divorced. I have geothermal." If it saves you $300-400 a month, somebody may, and that translates to $100,000 of payment, you may get 50 back on it. You may get 25 back on it. There's not enough of it, and it's not required. And then there's the technical side of it, of fixing it. Who's going to fix it? So, my dad had solar on the roof before, back 40 years ago. I mean, I think I was 21, and I'm like taking the solar panels off and trying to get rid of them because technology changes. So there can be other ways. That's a tough one to swallow.
There are. Once we get over this, this whole, we need to eliminate fossil, because ultimately that's what the green movement is. They want to redistribute the wealth from fossil fuel companies to Lord knows who, because the fossil fuel companies also own a lot of the green energy companies. But we won't clue them in on that. But I appreciate your common sense approach, though, to that, saying, you know what? It's much more cost effective to just start insulating people's houses than worrying about heat bumps that poor people can't afford. People who are struggling to make ends meet can't afford.
Your electricity bill becomes higher than what your gas bill or oil bill would have been.
Bingo.
So
you're redistributing the wealth from National Grid gas to National Grid electric.
From your pocket. Instead of taking it out of your left pocket to pay for oil, now I'm going to take it out of my right pocket and pay. My oil bill went down, but now my electric bill went up.
Which here in Lowell is National Grid.
Yeah.
National Grid owns both the gas and the electric.
That's right.
You might as well go to Mahoney Oil.
Some of the communities I go to, it's, there's one or Eversource or different ones.
We're robbing Peter to pay Peter. So anyway, some feedback from some prior shows. I keep saying I'm going to get to this, but I'm going to get to it with you because it'll help spur some discussion with you as well. Michelle G chimes in, says, protect women's sports, keep our girls safe. That was our...
was talking about Seth Moulton?
No, this was actually when Donald Trump put in his ban on transgender male athletes participating in women's sports. Charlie Baker and the NCAA followed suit. Now they're going after the MIAA because they still allowed it. And of course, that spurred out the controversy as we learned from the feds that the DOJ, Department of Justice, was investigating the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association. Yep. All of a sudden there was renewed interest in our video of that charter school basketball game. But yeah, protect women's sports. Imagine, it bothers me that people don't kind of look at it from that standpoint. There was a centuries-long battle for women to attain some level of equality, and the final frontier was in women's sports at the college and high school level, Title IX. And suddenly we kind of pushed that aside for a very small portion of the population, albeit you want to be humane, you want to be understanding, love everybody, respect everybody, but you can't infringe on women's rights. If you or I as men try to infringe on women's rights, people would lose their mind. Suddenly you and I just say we identify as something else and we're allowed to do it?
I hear you. So when I first took over the baseball softball league, softball was kind of the illegitimate child of the league.
You did it because you had to, right?
I had two daughters, two sons and two daughters. They were getting an equal shake. And when somebody said, well, I don't care about before. This is what's fair. They used to have 5 games in a day. One of them was a combined softball, junior and senior league. I said, no, they're going to have their own day. So I've been a proponent of fairness in sports. I can understand if you have a field hockey team and you don't have a boys field hockey team, then it could be co-ed. Sorry, I'm going to piss people off from that. But if you have the two different groups, I don't think there's a fairness there. And I can understand the side to say, I don't want my daughter going against somebody that's going to hurt them. And isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Most of your high school athletes are not going to college, and even less are going pro. I ran the baseball softball league, not because kids were going to go on to the major leagues or professional sports. I did it for them to be acclimated with each other so they could become friends. So when they go to high school and say, hey, we used to be on the same team when we were 8 years old. They had something in common. That's socialization. Get them off it was Xbox back or PlayStation back then. Get them out, get them seeing other kids, get them to socialize, get them to become friends. Wins or losses, it's part of life. You move on from it.
And sports have always been the great unifier and leader for social movements, as a matter of fact.
So when you had this situation over at Lowell Charter School,
yeah,
that was a big issue.
The collegiate charter school.
Collegiate charter school. And the biggest issue I have is expose it. When I was a school committee member on Greater Lowell, and they had an issue with the construction project, we're in executive session and they're like, well, what do we do? Should we admit this? And I said, throw everything up on a website. Every time we do a test for air quality, all the different things we've done, put it out there. And I got looks from the attorney and the superintendent said, it's a great idea. Stop hiding stuff. Tell it. What happened at the charter school? Oh, don't talk to us. No saying. Put it out there. Let there be a discussion. Why can't you have a discussion? Seth Moulton brought it up. Vilified. They'll probably have somebody run against him.
And then he quickly turtled.
Because he questions. Yeah. So you got to be able to talk about it. You've got to have, I think, some sort of happy medium. So be respectful. I can be respectful.
Jack says, poetry in motion. This was in regards to our basketball video of that incredible middle school game. Have you seen that video?
No.
You got to go check it out. It was a middle school basketball game in the Sullivan Middle School versus the Pine Arts Magnet School.
Okay.
In the last 42 seconds, there was just an unbelievable... Actually, hold on. You know what? I'll be able to call this up for you here, Mr. Boutin. Hold on.
Look at you in technology.
Yes.
Danny Rourke bringing in billions of dollars and you in technology.
So hold on. Let me. I'll just kind of re-cue this here.
All right.
But I'm dangerous with technology. By the way, all right.
Are we recording?
But yeah, this time we are. Yeah. The Sullivan Middle School in black, Pine Arts Magnet in blue. 30 seconds left in the game. It's not a close game. Half-court shot from the Sullivan.
Awesome.
That's a once-in-a-lifetime.
Yes, right? And you got it on video.
There's the kid number 5 in the blue, launches a half-court shot. Twice in a lifetime.
How did I not see this?
You missed the day of InsideLowell. Okay, so
I was on vacation last week.
Let's throw up a three-pointer falling away out of bounds. Oh, yeah, that goes in, yeah. Back down the other end. Half-court shot.
Oh, wow.
And, well, there's 5 seconds left now. Just run out the clock. Let's, we've seen enough once-in-a-lifetime stuff here. Hot
He's fine.
shot at the buzzer.
Unbelievable.
Court shot.
Oh, wow. That was fabulous.
I challenged anybody to find a better sequence of sports at any level, any sport, anywhere on the planet. Never. It's like there was. I'm telling you, there were higher powers at work that day.
Did this
in
come
that
out last
gymnasium.
week?
Last week.
All right, I was on
last
vacation.
Tuesday night.
Does this go out nationally or even locally?
Fox 25 in Boston. They call
Okay.
themselves Boston 25. They don't like
Okay.
to be associated with Fox because
Yeah.
the snowflakes won't watch Gene
Gotcha.
Levanchi and my
Gotcha.
friends over there. But they ran it. I don't know if it's gone national yet, but that's
Oh, wow.
an unheard of sequence. Anyway, Jack says poetry in motion.
That was great.
Corey R. That would be Corey Robinson chiming in on my interview with Melanie Gilbert from the Lowell Sun on Monday. Corey says blue collar feels like her people. She was talking about Lowell. He says she lives in Arlington. The feud still lives between Corey Robinson and Melanie Gilbert. I ran out of time with Melanie, but next time I have her on, I want to ask her about the back and forth between her and
She said
Counselor
if she was
Robinson.
younger, she'd buy Cody's Market.
She did.
So I'm a fan of hers now.
So you've seen
I've always
that
been a fan of
podcast,
hers.
haven't
She's just
you?
a gentle woman. Really nice.
Frankie '𝗏𝗀𝗀. She's
Yeah.
someone who's excited about Frontrunner Cities, former business person in
Yes.
downtown Lowell, one-term city councilor, and then she walked off into the sunset. I bet she's somebody who would have gotten this.
Yes.
Very exciting regarding the Frontrunner City designation, Frankie '𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏 says, yes, indeed. Jose says, I enjoyed listening to you too. That was for me and Melanie Gilbert.
Yep.
I definitely would like to see her back. She said she's coming back.
Good.
Said she might even bring Peter Courier with her. Be even better.
Ooh, Teddy.
And lastly, actually two more. Chinlong Deep says, interesting take on the ARPA funding color coding scheme. It did make me giggle for whatever reason. I was making fun of the city's graphic. They put the graphics out.
Was this Tuesday?
Tom Gold, yeah.
I haven't got
and
there yet.
They have there's a color wheel with 12 different places where the ARPA money went. And 9 of the 12 shades are like blue or cyan or blue. It's like
Colorblind Ray.
Can we get some brown in there? Can we get some black? Let's change it up a little. All shades of blue. Lastly, when I was talking
Look
about
at you, Teddy, being woke, including everybody.
I'm all woke. Shannon was talking about my discussion about how the college do this new panic now, especially with Attorney General Andrea Campbell, who can't enforce doesn't seem to have the
Diana DeZoglio.
Yeah, she doesn't want to go enforce the State House, but she's all upset that Donald Trump limiting the amount of money that universities like Harvard could skim off the top of research grants. Harvard's taking 69% Harvard's getting for administration. Yale was getting 65, Johns Hopkins 63. Yeah. He capped that at 15%. Of course, the folks who are upset that their money laundering scheme has been discovered are, saying it's going to kill people because it's going to cut into cancer research.
Maybe they can hire the Salvation Army and they can show them how it's actually done using money appropriately.
Yeah. I'll argue it might make more money available for cancer research.
The smartest people at Yale and MIT can't figure that out?
Well, they can figure it out, but
I get it.
But listen, they need that money to come into the administrator's pocket so then they can turn around and donate it to political campaigns. Shannon says the colleges have always had crazy indirect rates. The Career Center receives federal funding and we don't have an indirect rate. City doesn't have one and we are part of the city. So our rate is 10% de minimis is what it is called when you get federal funding and you have no established indirect rate. We make do. The feds should limit the indirect rate for these institutions. I'm telling you, what Doge has discovered through USAID and all the other abuses of your federal tax dollars, people should be losing their mind over that. I saw a thing going around on Twitter because everybody said, well, instead of spending $40 billion to buy Twitter, Elon Musk could have solved world hunger. And yet, if you talk about $500 million that's wasted on stupid things, that wouldn't solve world hunger? Because that money was supposedly going to world hunger, right?
100%. And it bothers me because I'll criticize both sides. Why can't even the most leftist, my cousin's wife, who I love her, she's always been one of my friends, is very anti-Trump, and anything they do is wrong. Can you at least admit some of these things shouldn't be happening? At least to anybody? And maybe some of the things Trump is cutting is wrong, and he's going to hit a nerve, and he's going to stop funding for school lunches, or he's going to, then we criticize him for it. But can't both things be similar, or not think similar, but correct that Trump did something wrong and bureaucrats got in the way?
72% of the people voted to allow the state auditor in Massachusetts to audit the legislature. I assume 100% of the people, maybe 99% of the people would like our Massachusetts, Treasury to be audited, right?
Who was the 28% that didn't want to be audited? Like
State representatives, state senators, their staff members,
family members.
Those who don't want stuff uncovered.
It can be productive to do those type of things. I mean, I was involved in audits at 𝗥𝗲 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝗁. It was important. You didn't have to take it personal. All right, they notified something, they found something. We're going to correct it and make sure it doesn't happen next year.
Crazy. All right.
Real crazy.
Before we let you go, the real reason we bring in real estate Ray Boutin, you are a realtor besides being a political pundit. We did what did we do? 40 minutes of political talk.
Wow.
Let's do a couple of minutes of real estate talk. You've got how many properties on the market now and how many are coming?
I've got 2 on the market right now. I've got a 5-unit over on Bowers Street that
Lowell? South Lowell?
Lowell? No, in Lowell, over in the acre.
Bowers is the acre.
Right off of Fletcher Street.
Okay.
This has been gut rehabbed. It's got, granite counters, new kitchens, hardwood floors, nice units, all paying market rent.
Close to UMass Lowell?
Close to UMass Lowell. Off-street parking, 1.35.
Off-street
1.325, million. So a great property. I've got Cody's Market on the sale just for the business.
Call Melanie Gilbert right now. She wants in.
Her and I are both too old, because I would go in. Look, you can put a pizza shop in there. They've got 9 ovens that they cook their beans in. There's a need for a pizza shop over there in deli. So they do make deli sandwiches, but they could promote that more. I think that would be helpful. And I've got like 7 or 8. I've got a Condex coming on in South Lowell. I've got a piece of land, 15,000 square foot lot in Pepperell, buildable lot.
Wow.
I've got a duplex, side by side, 2-family that could make a nice condo in Drake-it. I've got a 3-unit over on 𝗥𝗲 coming. I've got one over near Drake-it High that's coming on. It's on an acre of land, 4-bedroom, 2-bath split. I've got one in Hudson that may be close to 900. I'm meeting them
Hudson,
Sunday.
Mass or Hudson, New Hampshire? Hudson, New Hampshire.
So this is a beautiful house, like totally done through. And then I got a 2-family fixer-upper in North Chelmsford. And then I have one over in Pawtuckettville, 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
All right. So
I had to write these down, Teddy.
So you've always been one of the busiest realtors around. I've learned this through working with you, but also with our radio things. But it's February. This is a slow time. Why all of a sudden?
So some of these people just came in. It's the right timing for them. This is what they need to do. Others have said, well, I'm thinking of, I've talked to them in the fall, and they said, I'm thinking of April or May. And I go, okay. And then January hit, and I'm selling houses, and I'm getting $10,000 to $20,000 more for the house than we probably should have. A premium, because there's so few properties on the market right now.
Still selling above asking.
And their thought, the sellers were saying, let's wait till April. It'll be busier. And I said, well, sometimes more houses are on the market. So more buyers, but more houses, more competition. Right now, there's so few properties on the market. I'm bumping up my list prices of what I said, because there's just so few properties on the market right now.
How many of the properties you're selling are the products of divorce? Because one thing I learned with you is January is also divorce season, and assets have to be separated. I'm not kidding, folks. This is people get. I'll let you explain it. People stay together through the holidays and then get divorced in January.
It's divorce season,
right?
They do, and what'll happen is, because I've had friends, I've had clients, people they try, they break up, they get back together, they go to counseling, whatever it is, and it's September, October, and they say, you know what, let's have Thanksgiving with the kids, Christmas. They know the light is at the end of the tunnel. They're starting to make their break, but let's give the kids one last holiday season. And then after January, the attorneys say, okay, pull the trigger, get the appraiser out there. So we have to do appraisals. And luckily, the harder I work, the luckier I get. I've got a good reputation, and most of the local attorneys will say, you know what, you don't need to have 2 different appraisals. Have one. Ray's going to do it fair. It's going to be middle of the road. It is what it is. And then one may want to buy the person out. They may say that they can't afford it. They'll sell it. Yeah. Or one could buy out the other at that price. So it is the season. And
the season for the appraisal.
And before
business,
𝗥𝗲 𝗘𝘀𝗀 gives me a hard time and calls me a vulture.
You're the carcass of a marriage gone wrong.
Nope. Divorce is a way for two people to go off and be happy without each other. All right? That's what it is. They can be.
It's said that only an attorney, the lawyers make money off of a divorce. Actually, let's amend that. The attorney and the appraisers do as well. So you
Sometimes
are a
real estate agent too.
certified appraiser, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, licensed realtor in both states.
Yes.
As you can't appraise and sell a property.
I wouldn't.
People have to hire you for one or the other.
Yep.
All right. If people want to do that, and I will personally vouch for Ray, he was phenomenal for my family and I, and we still use him to this day. I still borrow his truck every now and then. How do they get a hold of you?
Or sell houses in Greece.
Yeah, sell houses in Greece. That's right.
Please give me a call. Ray Boutin. I'm at 978-502-8352. Ray Boutin, 978-502-8352. Or visit my website, thanks to Teddy Panos, realestaterayBoutin.com.
All right.
Thanks for coining that.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks for helping be a supporter of Inside Lowell and the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse. We couldn't have done it without you. And thanks for trudging in here on a snowy, slushy Thursday morning. And
Other than the traffic,
my fake take.
The traffic for the kids was worse than the slush out there.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, it was pretty bad out there between 9:30 and 10.
No, to 10:30 when I parked.
Still?
So, yeah. Aren't
no
they supposed to be
kidding.
at school at 7:30?
Some schools start later, yeah.
No, this is downtown at the high school.
Oh, they got a little late.
So 7:30. So 9:30, right?
Yeah, they had to walk
All the
through
cars
those-
should have been in.
They
The
had to
kids
walk
should have
through
been.
those sidewalks.
If we only had a school at a location that all the kids could be bused,
Off a highway.
and it didn't take an hour and a half to get there, and then what are we going to do if we move the high school out of there? What was it called? Frontrunner City?
Frontrunner City, yeah.
Link?
That'd be a great property for a Frontrunner City development.
Really?
Huh?
Mill number 5? Frontrunner City Link? What would we do with that big building?
Vision.
Nobody wanted to listen.
Vision.
Well, some did. Some did.
Vision instead of blinders. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Glad to have Ray here. Glad to have you here as well. That wraps up our Thursday, February 13th edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse. Again, guys, do not forget the ladies. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and we'll be joined by Madame President Danielle McFadden, President of the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce. We'll have some fun with her. Also some serious talk, though, because Danielle is a candidate for Lowell School Committee. So we're going to find out what her vision is for the Lowell Public Schools. So then, everybody stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.